welcome to this alter ego workshop. This is part 1 of 2 online sessions so that you can create an alternative performance persona and a little performance to go with that persona. So you might be asking yourself, what in the world is an alter ego? Well, let's talk about it. An alter ego is an alternative personality that you can embody in order to either create a different character, a different version of yourself, perhaps for the performance world or perhaps just for your everyday life. And there's many reasons that we might create an alter ego. Perhaps you've experienced the sort of like fake it till you make it mentality. So I, for example, am not the most confident person, but because I am a performer, I am able to create a different version of myself that's full of confidence in order to appear more confident throughout my performance experience and throughout the world. Throughout my daily experience, really. Perhaps you're an introvert and you would like to appear more extroverted, or perhaps the opposite is true. Maybe you are actually an extremely extroverted person and you would like to explore what it's like to be a more kind of like quiet and observing version of yourself. So yeah, it can also just be fun to explore this alternative part of yourself. It can be a way to kind of do a little bit of self-discovery and see, oh, yeah, you know, usually I do this in this circumstance, but what would it be like if I actually did something else? So it gives you more options to expand your world and your experience of the world, your experience of other people. What else? Why else might we create an alter ego? So I like to think of it as we all contain multitudinous selves. So maybe you have a personality that you put on at school. Maybe you have a personality that you have at home. Maybe when you're among your closest friends, you're one way. When you're meeting a stranger, you're another way. Maybe you're like a really adept bowler or something like that. You have a very specific skill set. Maybe you're really good at needlepoint, and when you're doing that thing, you're really, really into that thing, and you maybe take on like a different persona there. You might have like, again, a performance self, or if you're in of working age, perhaps you have like a work self or a persona that you have to put on at work to appear more professional or to garner respect. If you're in an authority position, I don't think authority comes really naturally rather to anyone, so I think there's a lot of performing that happens in the workplace, and I would say in a school as well, due to positions of authority. So that's an interesting way to think about it too, so we all contain many selves, and by turning them into personalities or into egos or into characters, we can kind of tease them out, exaggerate them, and then understand them a little bit better for ourselves. So why in the world might we use an alter ego for performance? So I got into this a little bit earlier because I love this use of alter egos, and that's why we're all here. So it can be a really big help, a really big boost to one's confidence to walk into a performance as somebody else and to say, actually, I'm leaving Ru at the door, and I'm actually going to step into this other character who I've explored and who I feel more confident in on stage. It can sort of rid us of these narratives that we have going on in our head that have to do with maybe like who we are, what we're good at, what we're bad at, just these like negative spirals that can happen in here. It can sort of like rid you of that, because you know, you never talk that way to your best friend. Maybe you wouldn't talk that way to this other persona that you're donning. So it can help with those self-talk patterns. And then again, sometimes we have to perform all the time, even when we don't feel like it. Like maybe you like can't totally be yourself around certain family members. Maybe there's a teacher who just like really doesn't like you, or a coworker that you you really kind of have to put on a different air for. And so it's something that we do all the time, is perform. And we might not always feel like it, but that alter ego always feels like it. So it's kind of a handy tool to have in your back pocket, especially if you're a little bit different than the world wants you to be. And you often find yourself sort of having to tweak yourself in different circumstances for different people. So those are some reasons that we might want to explore this alter ego journey. And so next, before we get into a little bit of brainstorming, I just want to go over what an alter ego is not. So, like I said, an alter ego is this alternative personality that already exists within you. So it's not like you're creating it out of thin air. You're actually reaching just deep into yourself and drawing out and exaggerating this thing that already exists within you. So an alter ego is not taking something from someone else's world or someone else's culture. So we've all heard the term cultural appropriation before. That is not what we're doing here. So like putting on someone else's accent or like mannerisms that does not come from your history, your culture, your family, your background, that is not what we are doing. So the difference between, again, something that already exists within yourself and something that exists outside of you. Now, there's a difference between like cultural appropriation and like observation and exaggeration. So like, again, you might not be a super introverted person, but maybe your best friend is an introverted person, and so you've kind of observed how like they're a wallflower at social gatherings, and you can kind of like embody that experience, and that's an okay thing to do. That's like an okay observation to make, and then to try to like fit into your body and see how it feels in your body. So I hope those distinctions make sense. In a moment here, I'm actually going to have you go ahead and pause the video, but I'm going to give you some brainstorming prompts because, again, we've talked a little bit about what an alter ego is in general, but you are creating your very own alter ego, and so I just want you to have a moment to like write down some things that might help you understand them and get to know them a little bit. So this might be, again, an exaggeration of someone that you sometimes embody, or someone new that you haven't met yet who lives inside of you. So it could be human, totally human. It could be part human. It could be not even human at all. It could be a character, maybe like you're into theater and this alter ego is inspired by someone that you've explored in a theatrical performance already. It can be a part of yourself that you feel nervous to explore, or like that you haven't quite met yet again. And just remember that fear is actually often a sign that something is worth exploring. So don't be scared away if you're fearing a certain character within yourself. It could be an exaggeration of a part of yourself that you wish people would see, but they don't see. So I'm just going to give you a few minutes, pause the video, and I just want you to jot down or draw for just 5 minutes. Just set a 5-minute timer and write down some things about this alter ego, this character that you're creating. And then we're going to come back. Okay, so welcome back. The next thing that we're gonna do, just to get us into our bodies a little bit, is do some warming up. So actually go ahead and you can just start by sort of slapping your feet, the fronts of your legs, the backs of your legs, maybe under here, your thighs, hips, belly, chest up, down one arm, the inside of that arm, down the other arm, the inside of that arm, back of the neck, back of the head, maybe lean your back a little bit, go ahead and you can stand up, bend over. You can just drop that slap and just find a little bounce. Finding out your hands on the ground, maybe a little jiggle in your knees. And I'm going to give us a 5 count to roll up. So you can keep the bounce or you can drop it. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now let's all drop the bounce. Just find a little roll backwards in the shoulders. Maybe expanding that to arm circles next. Or you can kind of swim one arm at a time. And then just bring your hands to your hips. Find that micro bend in your knee. And just kind of bend one knee and then the other, and you're like popping your hip out while you do that. So just popping one hip and the other, getting into our lower body joints a little bit, and finding some hip and knee circles, reversing directions a few times. And then just go ahead and stamp your feet. You can kind of march while you do this. And just go ahead and point each of your feet, each of your toes and your feet a few times. Maybe picking them up a little bit higher each time that you do it. And then flexing your toes back towards your shins a few times as well. Finding this kind of funny little rocking motion. So just waking up those ankles, those feet, those toes. Maybe you can find some crickly-crackly. And then just for like a little bit, just finding some like iggly-wiggly energy in all of your joints that we've talked about. Maybe even extending in your spine. Maybe bringing that shake back. Maybe you're at home and you just have a little space. You don't have to move around really at all to do this in terms of lateral space. You can just kind of find it within your little bubble. Making sure to get into your neck. And let's just keep up the iggly wiggly for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Letting your weight sink into your feet here. Maybe closing your eyes for a moment. Feeling your breath come in and out. Feeling that little bit of heat that we've built. And I want you to stay there. You don't need to move. I'm just gonna move so that I can read the next instructions for our next activity. So the next game we're gonna play is called Choreograph. So you may or may not be a dancer. You don't need to be a part of this game. So the instructions are very simple. The first round, I'm just going to give you some normal instructions, and what I say is what I mean. So when I say forward, go ahead and walk forward. When I say backward, go ahead and walk backwards. When I say fast, do it fast. When I say slow, do it slow. When I say get big, then you're gonna get big in your body, and when I say get little, you're gonna get little in your body. Okay, so that's round one. Ready? You don't have to go very far. Again, you might just be in your bedroom. Maybe you just have 3 steps, that's fine. Okay, forward, fast, backward, slow, big, forward, fast, little, slow, backward, forward, backward, forward, slow, slow, big, little, big, little, big, little, fast, big, fast, big, slow, little, slow, forward, backward, backward, forward, backward, forward, slow, fast. Okay, so now for this next round, what I say is not what I mean. So whatever I say, you do the opposite. So if I say forward, that means go backward. If I say backward, that means go forward. If I say fast, I mean slow. If I say slow, I mean fast. If I say big, I mean little. And if I say little, I mean big. And don't put the pressure on yourself that you have to be perfect. You don't have to be perfect. It's just a good brain waking up exercise. So don't think about it too much. Shake it out for a minute. Okay, find your space and get ready. Backward, forward, slow, fast, little, big, backward, fast, little, big, slow, forward, forward, fast, little, big, slow, fast, backward, 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 forward, slow, fast, slow, big, little, fast, little, slow, forward, backward, stop. Okay, incredible job, you did it. Whether or not you feel that you succeeded, you've done some body waking up, you've done some brain waking up, and now we're going to do a little bit of waking up of our voice. Now I know I always use silly voices, and now I'm going to invite you into that healing practice. So, you can go ahead and think of a few, perhaps you are also a silly voice maker. And this next exercise is really for you, if that's true. I want to invite you to think about some of the silly voices that you already use. So maybe there's the baby voice that you always talk in, or maybe you have a very serious voice that you talk in, or maybe you have a weird filter on your voice and you're not even quite sure what it is yet, but you're experimenting with it. So great, try 3 of them out, just like that. 1, 2, 3. They don't have to be perfect, they're just an experiment for your vocal cords and your spirit. So what's gonna happen next is I will present a statement, and then you will repeat it using one of your silly voices that you just explored. And maybe halfway through, you decide to discard one of them and start with a new one. Or maybe you just end up by the end of the exercise filtering down to one that you love and enjoy, and that's great and fine. So, the first sentence I want you to say is, in your silly voice only, please, I eat brains for breakfast. My dog is the size of a teacup. Oh, my blob, did you see that toffee chip muffin? No laughing aloud. Haha, just kidding. It is currently raining. Dogs the size of teacups. Yesterday, the sky was a deep hazy brown. And the river was the color of my laundry blowing in the breeze. I'm not entirely sure what time is. A beanpole is just a metaphor for a magic wand. Can you count the catapults in Carrie's kitchen? Ooh, tricky one. All right, great job. You've done some silly voice exploring. If you hadn't ripped up your cool card already, now it has been completely and utterly destroyed. So congratulations. You're on your way to being a performer. All right, so last exercise before we wrap up for the day, and then we have a session 2 that you can explore at your own pace when you're ready. So we're going to do just a little bit more character development. So maybe you're taking this class alone, or maybe you have a roommate or a parent or a sibling who you're taking it with, and this exercise works either way. So basically what we're going to do is interview our alter egos a little bit. So first I want you to, again, you can, after the video is done, you can do this with a notebook or with a friend or just in your head. But I really want you to write down 5 questions that you want to ask your own alter ego. Or if you're doing it with a friend, you can ask each other those questions. You can ask each other's alter ego those questions and interview each other. So that would be one way to do it as well. But if it's just you, write down 5 interview questions for your own alter ego, as if you know nothing about them, because we're just at the beginning, we barely do. And through writing these questions and then through answering them, you'll learn a little bit more about your alter ego. So when you're interviewing yourself, and you could, for example, make a video if you wanted to, or and that could be just for you, or it could be for sharing, or just for referencing later in the performance creation process. So as you're interviewing yourself, I really want you to embody that character. So really try to think about like how they might carry themselves, what their posture is like. Really connect again to your body and think, oh, how does this alter ego carry themselves throughout the world? Also think about their voice. I mean, we just did that crazy exercise. Maybe they do have a slightly different way of talking, even if it's just like a bit slower or faster than you as your normal character in the world does. And if you'd like to take this exercise to its fullest extent, you can actually create a little scene. So come up with a reason and an environment in which this interview is taking place. So maybe there's someone on the street who's really curious what you're doing. They're like a reporter and they're just interviewing strangers, and they think, who knows, they think you're really beautiful or interesting and they want to hear your story. So that's just one example of like why the interview might be taking place. And if there's 2 of you, there could be a reason as to either why your alter egos are interviewing each other, or you could create 2 different scenes of why these interviews are happening. So this is just going to be the beginning of getting to know your alter egos. So go ahead and do that at your own pace, and then whenever you're ready, you can come back for session 2 and we'll delve a little bit more into the creation process. Thank you so much. This has been awesome. I hope that you have so much fun getting to know your alter egos, and I will see you for session 2.